Everyone, so this is section 1.4 for statistics. So in this question they gave us part A and part B, and they gave us a table. So in part A they want us to find points that are on the cumulative frequency graph. Now if you want to save time, for part A you do not have to draw the cumulative frequency graph, because these values over here you can just compare them with the answers over here. So look, 5 and 20 is equal to 5 and 20, so this is correct. And then 25 170 is equal to 25 170. And by the way, before this 5 and 20, the first point is 0 0. There may be cases where the first point can actually be, for example, 5 0, but that's very you don't find it very often. But I will show you guys how to do it if that comes up in the quiz. Okay. So this is correct. So now 5 0, that's wrong because we already found out that 5, an x of 5 has a y of 20. By the way, these are coordinates. These are x and y on the cumulative frequency graph. So this is wrong. 25 and 170 is correct, but because this is wrong, then the whole option is wrong. Now 0 0 is a point, it's the origin, so this is correct. 35 200 is also a point, so this is also correct. Okay. Now the rest of the options, this is wrong because we know it was 520, and this is correct, but the whole thing is wrong because this over here is wrong. And then this is correct, but this is wrong, so the whole thing is wrong. It's really simple. You're just comparing. So now, for this part of the question, you have to draw the cumulative frequency graph. So what I'm going to do, because I can't keep scrolling up and down, I'm going to draw the values, okay, the coordinates. Sorry, I'm not going to draw them. I'm going to write them down on my notebook so that I can draw the cumulative frequency graph and show you guys. So 25 170 and 35 200. So wait, let me scroll down, okay, because we're going to answer part B using the cumulative frequency graph. So here's what you're going to do. The y-axis is going to have cumulative frequency, okay? The x-axis is going to have the income, okay? But first of all, you have to choose a scale. For the income, obviously, we're going to choose a scale of 5 because all the values are multiples of 5. For the y, we can choose a scale of 20. As long as you get to 200, it's fine. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Sorry for the handwriting, by the way. I don't know if it shows or not. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And we can stop at 35 because that's our last value. And then 35. Now here, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Now I'm gonna make them a bit wider so I don't. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. 20, 60. And then we have 120, 140, 160, 180, and then I'll just increase this a bit and 200. Okay, by the way, make sure your scale, okay, make sure the boxes that you choose have equal amounts in between them. Yani, if you're gonna choose, for example, like you guys know how there's small boxes like this, and then you pick your scale based on these boxes. From 0 to 20 should be equal to 20 to 40, the amount of boxes, and then 40 to 60 should be equal to 60 to 80, and then so on. Okay? And then you also have 0, 0. Now you're gonna plot your points. So At an x of 5, you have a y of 20, so over here, you can even add some dotted lines if you're not sure. X of 10 is 50, so 50 is in between 40 and 60. It's probably here. Yeah. And then you can also draw x's. I'm trying to make circles, but it's not looking very good. So I'm just going to do x's. Here we go. And then 15, 100. Where's 100? Here. Okay. Here's another x. 20, 150. That's going to be in between 140 and 160. So here. Then finally 35 and 200. So I'm just going to move this. Okay. And then you just draw a line from 0, 0. That's not from 0, 0. From 0, 0 through your points. And this is how your cumulative frequency graph should look like. Now for part B, considering that 125 individuals have an annual income of less than $1,000, the best estimate for K. So we're trying to find the income. That means we're going to use the cumulative frequency on the side. They said 125 individuals, so we go on our y-axis. Where's 125? You have 80 here, 100, 120, and then 140. So it should be like over here, because in the middle would be 130. So that means it should be like a quarter way there. Yeah, I don't know how to do it properly because it's kind of hard. Here we go. So what you're going to do, from there, you're going to draw a dotted line to your curve. And then, you know what, I'm going to make this a different color so I don't confuse you guys. So let's choose green. So it's here, right? So you're going to draw a dotted line to your curve. Then a dot, and then you're going to see. You're going to draw down, 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 down until you reach the x-axis and you get to a point K. This is what we want to find. Now the options are obviously gonna be like shown to you. In this case, it would be, yeah, I think it is 18. It's pretty close. Actually, in this case, it can be like 19. No, it's fine. I think this is 18. Okay, so that's how you find it. You just scan the y-axis for the value that they give you, and then you go towards your curve. And then stop when it meets the curve, when it intersects the curve, and you go down to the x-axis and you find your x. Okay? Now the 50th percentile of this distribution. Percentile is just percent, so they want to find 50%. Now, basically they mean 50% of the frequency, I think. So, or of the total frequency. And usually the highest value in the cumulative frequency is equal to the total frequency. So you're going to take the highest value of the cumulative frequency, and then you're going to find 50%, which is 100. So 100 is over here. And then you're going to go to the curve and stop where the curve meets the point. So we're going to do this. We're going to go to the curve and stop when it intersects. And then you go down and you get 15. Okay? And the answer is 15. Or like 15,000. But in this case, we're only writing 15 because they told us income in $1,000. So you don't have to write 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Just write 5, 10, 15. Okay? Most of the rest of the questions are going to be like this. I think the last question, they actually give you the cumulative frequency graph. So you can do the same thing as the last question in this case, but there's a slight issue. The last question, first of all, they didn't give us like intervals, but because this is time, so obviously they're going to give us intervals. And another issue is that this value is not the same as this value. So what we're going to do is, we're going to remove 0.5 from the first value of each interval and add 0.5 from the second value. So we're going to remove 0.5 from 16, add 0.5 to 30. Remove 0.5 from 31, add 0.5 to 45, and so on and so on and so on. I'm not going to do this right now. I think it's like very easy for you guys to do alone. So I'm just going to continue on and answer the questions. Okay? So, the cumulative frequency graph is a smooth curve that passes through, and then you have the points. Okay? Another final thing you should know. So you know how you have 0.5 to 15.5, and then you have 20. Now, a question. You only have x and y, right? You don't have x and another x, and then they both belong to one y. It doesn't make sense. So how are you supposed to plot your points if you have two x's over here? Here's what you're gonna do. Usually, the last value in a time interval would be with the y, and then the first value goes with the number before. You don't have a number before, so 0.5 would go with 0. So then your x's in this case, your coordinates in this case would be 0.5, 0, and 15.5, 20. And now that we made all these values, okay, equal to each other, like we made 15 equal to 16 because now they both became 15.5. Because we added 0.5 here and we removed 0.5 from here, صح? So they both became 15.5. So that means both of these belong to 20. And then this becomes 30.5. It belongs to 50. This also becomes 30.5, so it also belongs to 50. But that's why we add and remove 0.5, because you can't have two x's and one y. You have to have one x and one y. So, yeah. 15.5 and 20 is correct. 90.5 and 200 is correct. Then 15.5 and 0. That's wrong, because we know that 0.5 is with the 0. That's the first coordinate we have, actually. That's instead of 0, 0. In the previous question, we had 0, 0. But in this case, our curve is going to start with 0.50. So this is wrong. This is correct, but the whole thing is wrong because this one's wrong. Okay? Then 15.520, that's correct. And then 90.5 was with 200, so this is wrong. 15.520 is correct. 75.5 was not with 200, so this is wrong. And then 0.50 is correct, and 90.5, 200 is correct. Okay? Now we're gonna answer these questions. So I'm gonna have to draw the curve. Let's just use, I'm gonna use black. Okay, actually I'll use yellow like the previous time. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use these arrows. Actually, you know what? That looks horrible. Okay. Here we go. For the cumulative frequency, I think we can use 20 again. So we're just gonna draw like 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, and I'm just gonna put 200 over here. Okay. And then our x values we have from 0.5 to 90, so we can go by 10, I guess. Actually, 5 would be more suitable, but I don't think I have enough space for 5. So I'm gonna go by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I'm gonna try to make this longer. Here we go. 80 and 90. Now we can start. Okay. So we have 0.5 and then 0. So wait, this is 0 and this is 0. our x is 0.5, so it's gonna be around here. Our y is 0, so our point is gonna be like here. No, actually that's way too far, because I used the scale as 10, so it's gonna be very close to the x-axis action. Sorry, the y-axis. So it's gonna be around there. And then we have 15.5 and 20. So 15 is around like in the middle of 20 and 10. So it's gonna be here, and then 20 is here, so like here. And then 30.5, 50. 50 is between 40 and 60. So it's gonna be around here. 45.5, 140. 45.5 is in the middle of 40 and 50. And then 140 is all the way up here. Okay. Oh wait, my bad. 45.5 here. Then 60.5, 160. So 60.5. 60.5 and 60 are really close, so I'm gonna consider them the same point. And then 160 is here. So around here. 75.5, 190. 75 is in the middle of 70 and 80, and then 190 is in the middle of 180 and 200. So here. Then 90.5, 200. And then from the first point that you have, which is not 0, it's 0.50, you draw your curves. So this is obviously not precise at all. But you guys are gonna have like tiny squares you can use to draw, so that's fine. Now, considering that K subscribers made phone calls of less than 25 minutes each, the best estimate for K. So in this case, they want us to find the cumulative frequency, which is gonna be K, because they told us that they made less than 25 minutes each. So then 25 minutes is a time, صح? And we know time interval is on our x-axis, so that means that K is going to be on our y-axis, because they want us to find K. So you're going to do 25. It's in the middle of 20 and 30, so it's here. And then you're going to go up to the curve and see where it intersects. And then you're going to have a point. Oh, I think my curve should be lower, because the answer should be 35. But the thing is, I think my curve is too high. So it should be around here. And then you go to your y-axis. Yeah, actually my curve is fine. Never mind. So 25. Then you go to your y-axis. So around here, you can assume it's 35.5. Once again, yours is going to be way more precise than mine. I'm just, because I'm drawing it without any lines or anything. So yeah, should be 35. If 20% of the subscribers made phone calls longer than K minutes, what is the value of K? So once again, 20% times the highest cumulative frequency. So you're going to do 20% times 200, okay? And you get 40. So you're going to look at 40 on the cumulative frequency curve, or like the cumulative frequency, the y-axis. Then you're going to go to your curve. There are too many dots here. Here, I'm going to use green. So 40, then you're going to go to your curve. And then, wait, 20% of the subscribers make phone calls longer than K minutes. Okay, so clearly there's something wrong with my curve, because my 40 is not at 60, longer than K minutes. My 40 is at 35. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. I think their curve is wider, because their 40 gives us 60 for some reason. But so anyways, your curve, you should take 40 from the side because that's 20% of 200. And then you take it to your curve. And then it should bring you to an answer of 60. I don't know why my curve is that off, but it's fine. So if 20% of the subscribers made phone calls longer than K minutes, what is the value of K? You should get an answer of 60. Okay? So yeah, that's it for this question. Now this is the same concept, okay? And then you have percentiles. I think you guys got the concept of this, the first part. So I'm gonna just do part B. Okay, so I'm gonna draw the curve. Wait, I need to have the values. So 10 is gonna be 0. An x of 10 is gonna be 0, and then 30, 16, 40, 29, 50, 47, 60. Oh wait, never mind guys. We actually do have a problem here. This is the frequency. We need to find the cumulative frequency. So then you're gonna have 16. You're gonna add 29 to 16. 29 plus 16. So then 45. You're gonna add onto that 47. Okay, so then you're gonna end up with 92. Then you're gonna add onto that 18. Okay, so 92 plus 18. You're gonna get 110, and finally 110 plus 10 is 120. Okay, so this is your cumulative frequency. This is your y values. So 10 is gonna have an x of 0, so then 30 is gonna have an x. 10 is gonna have a y of 0. So then 30 is gonna have a y of 16, and 40 is gonna have a y of 29, 50 is gonna have a y of 47, and so on and so on. Okay? I'm gonna try not to spend as much time as possible on this because most of this stuff you guys should be able to do yourselves, because we did it many times in AMSs and stuff. So the best estimate for the 25th percentile of this distribution. So obviously you're gonna have your curve. Then you're gonna have 200, oh wait, not 200, 120, because that's the highest cumulative frequency value, and it's the total frequency. And then you're gonna have your final value of kilometers or x over here, so on the x-axis. So you're gonna find 25% of 120. So then that's 30. So you're gonna look at your y-axis and say 30 مثلا is here. And then you have your curve here. Okay? So 30 is here. So then you draw dots to the curve. And then wherever the curve intersects with the dots, you go down to the x-axis and you should get your value over here. Same with 50%. 50% of 120 is 60, so it should be around halfway there. And then you do the exact same thing, and then you go down and you find your x and you put it in. And 75%, okay? 75% of 120 is 90. It's going to be around here. And then dotted lines. You can do dots or dotted lines, like these. Okay? And then you go down to your x and you find it. Okay? Now, the difference between the 75th percentile and the 25th percentile represents the interquartile range of the data. The best estimate for the interquartile range of this distribution. You already found the 75th percentile. You found the 25th percentile. So you do the 75th minus the 25th. So you're going to do 48 minus 36. And the value you get, you put it in the interquartile range. Okay? Question number 4. So they gave you the cumulative frequency graph in this case, which is way better than drawing it out in my opinion. So according to the graph, how many mackerel, I think that's mackerel, are estimated to have lengths of 34 centimeters or more? So you know there are 100 mackerels and they're placed on the y-axis here. and then their centimeters are placed on the x-axis here. And they want us to find how many are estimated to have 34 centimeters or more in length. But you're gonna go from the x-axis, you're not gonna go from the y, because the y is the mackerels themselves. The x is the length. They want us to find how many, so how many mackerels, so how many y's are equal to 34. So how many y's are equal to a specific x, okay, or more. So you're gonna start from 34 length, 34 centimeters, yeah. You're gonna go up to the curve. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. So 34, go up to the curve, and then you end up with around a value of 55. So that means that at a length of 34 centimeters, you have 55 mackerels that are at that length. Now, what did they say? They want to know how many have 34 centimeters or more. So what they want is, this is 34 centimeters, right? And it's at 55. What they want is this amount over here. Okay? They want from 55 to 100. So you're gonna do 100 minus 55. And then you end up with 45. So 45 mackerels have a length of 34 centimeters or more. So you just put that in. Now, if 10 mackerels have lengths less than m centimeters, what is the value of m? Okay, I think I'm catching a cold, so don't mind me if I cough in the middle or anything. So, we're gonna use the y-axis this time because we're talking about mackerels and we want to find their lengths. If 10 mackerels have lengths less than m centimeters, so we go to 10, it's around here, and then we go to the curve, and then we look at the x, it's 30. Okay? So that means that 10 mackerels have a length of 30, right? They want us to find 10 or less, I think. Wait, let me go back. Have lengths less than m. What is the value of m? Okay, so these 10 have lengths less than the 30. So that means the value of m is 30. Okay? So now, the difference between the 75th percentile and the 25th percentile represents the interquartile range of the data. Given that the 25th percentile of this distribution is estimated to be 31.5 centimeters, the estimated interquartile range of this distribution is 4.5 centimeters. So they gave us the 25th percentile. They want us to find the interquartile range, which is 75th percentile minus 25th percentile. So all we have to do, we have to find the 75th percentile, then subtract the value of the 25th percentile, which is 31.5, from the answer we get, okay? So 75% of 100 is 75. We're going to go to 75 on the y-axis, which is here. And you're going to go to the curve. And then you're going to go down to the x. You get an x of 36. So that means what you're going to do is, you're going to do 36, because it's the 75th percentile, minus 31.5, which is the 25th percentile, to find the interquartile range. So minus 31.5, and then you get 4.5. Okay? Okay. So now you have this table. They want you to find the cumulative frequency, and then they want you to make a cumulative frequency graph and find 70% and 50%. So, A is going to be 14, obviously, because you're starting with 14 as a frequency, so you're starting with 14 as a cumulative frequency. Then you add 46 to 14, so 14 plus 46. So this is 60, and then 60 plus 24, 84, and then 84 plus 36 is 120. these two values over here are always the easiest to find because the cumulative frequency, the first value of cumulative frequency, will always be the same as the first value of the frequency. And the last value of the cumulative frequency will always be the same as the total frequency which they gave to us here. But all you have to do is find these two values. And you can even check after if you have time. Okay? And then just put them here as A, B, C, and D. Now, if 70% of the visitors spent no more than m minutes in the park, then m is equal to. I'm guessing what you do here is you draw the graph. Okay? So, at an x of 10, you're going to have a y of 0. Okay? At an x of 29, you're going to have a y of 14. The scale is going to be pretty hard to do. And then, oh wait, my bad. We have to add 0.5 and remove 0.5. I think you guys can do that mentally. So that means at an x of 9.5. So here's how it's going to look like. 9.5, 0. And then 29.5, 14. Then 39.5. You take the cumulative frequency. You don't take the frequency on a cumulative frequency graph. That doesn't make sense. Your B is 60, so 60. Then 49, your C is 84, so 49.5, 84. And then D is 120, so 59.5, 120. And then you plot all these points. And then for part B over here, you just look at the cumulative frequency graph. So you look at the side over here, you find 70% of the visitors. 70% of 120, so 70% times 120 is 60, or not 64, 84, my bad. It's 84, okay? So you're gonna look at 84 over here, and then you're gonna go to your curve and find the x, and that should be equal to m. And then 50% of 120 is 60, so you're gonna go to 60, and then you're gonna go to the curve, find your x, and it should be here as well. Okay? And then that's it for section 1.4. It's really